We're starting by importing BrowserModule and DomSanitizer from an Angular platform browser. BrowserModule is a module required for any web-based Angular application, while DomSanitizer is a service that helps in preventing cross-site scripting (XSS) attacks by sanitizing values before they are used in the DOM. Next, we import Component and OnInit from the Angular core module. Component is the building block of Angular applications, allowing us to create reusable UI elements with its own logic and design. OnInit is a lifecycle hook that is called after Angular has initialized all data-bound properties of a directive. Here we define a new component named AppComponent with a selector AppRoot. The template is simple, displaying a welcoming message in an H1 tag. The component also implements the OnInit interface, indicating that it has an OnInit lifecycle hook method. Inside the AppComponent class, we have a constructor where we inject the private services DomSanitizer and BrowserModule. Although BrowserModule isn't used here, it's often included to highlight the necessary module for browser-related functions. Within OnInit, we create a constant CSP to hold our content security policy. This policy sets default sources to self, which means only the same origin. Script sources are also limited to self, preventing execution of scripts from other domains. Object sources are set to none, so no objects or plugins can be loaded. Style sources are restricted to self and the Google Fonts API, and font sources are similarly restricted to self and Google Fonts CDN. We then create a new meta element. This is the HTML element that will hold our content security policy and will be appended to the document head. We set the HTTP equivalent header of our meta tag to content security policy. This tells the browser that this meta tag contains security directives that it needs to enforce. The content of the meta tag is set to the CSP string we constructed earlier. This effectively applies our security policy to the entire Angular app. Finally, we append the meta element with our content security policy to the head of the document. This ensures that the policy is in place right as the application initializes, providing an immediate layer of security against XSS attacks. With the closing brace, we finish the definition of our AppComponent class. By setting up this meta tag, we've helped safeguard our Angular application from various security threats, specifically XSS attacks. And that's where all the magic happens, within the OnInit method. Remember that this method gets called as part of Angular's initialization process, so it's the perfect place to set up configurations like a content security policy.